Hi YouTube. So today I'm going to discuss design walls. I'm using flannel. I did actually purchase a design wall from Missouri Star Quilt Company. It was a perfect size for my wall and I used it, and as I noticed, it started getting dingy looking and it cannot be washed. So I switched to flannel. Flannel fabrics naturally stick to flannel, just like batting. You could use batting as well. But I kind of want to discuss other uses for a design wall, not just laying out your quilt blocks. So behind me, I have some fabric strips and scraps where I'm auditioning fabrics for blocks. So eventually, upcoming in the quilt along, we're going to be doing this block, which is called the Texas Flower, and this block, which is called the Four Patch Variation. And I'm trying to go with the color scheme of the legend of the quilt design. So I have picked out fabrics, and I picked out these fabrics about 2 weeks ago, and ironed a little bit of the fabric, and because I knew I wouldn't get back to it, just kind of pinned them to the wall. And you can see that this is all ironed up here, whereas this down here is not. And they've just kind of marinated on the wall. And if I see something I don't like as I'm working this, then because these are not married together, it's no big deal to get out a different piece of fabric. I don't spend a lot of time selecting fabric, but this is a big help. It keeps my pieces ironed after I've ironed them, and obviously life gets in the way, and so you can't get right back to it. Recently I posted about this quilting hack on my community page. For those of you who don't know this, on YouTube there is a video page, a shorts page, a playlist page, and as well as a community page. And that community page allows you to communicate with me, or allows me to communicate with you without actually making a video. That's where I post all of my quilt blocks I'm doing for my quilt along. And I have stopped filming those because YouTube was not pushing that content, and a lot of those blocks are really hard and probably not perfect for the demographic audience that I have, because people like quick and fast, and those blocks are not quick and fast. But this is just a tip on a design wall. It was a piece of felt. So if you can find a 72-inch width piece of felt and buy it by the yard, that it makes a perfect design wall. You can use a scrap piece of batting, and your design wall doesn't have to be humongous. Originally, I started out with a very small design wall. So this is my original design wall, and all it is a tube with some paper or some fabric wrapped around it that's velcroed. Okay, as you can see, I've unrolled this. You would put, and this is kind of got, I don't know, it's got a clingy texture to it. I don't know what this is. It almost looks like headliner fabric in your car. You would lay out your blocks on this, and then when you got done, it will roll up. The tube ends are capped to where you would put your thread in it. You could travel with it. It's great for English paper piecing. It's great for small pieces. Whenever I was doing the 365 quilt block challenge, I actually used this, and it made a perfect design wall. I just hung it on the back of my door. I didn't think I had room for a design wall, but I made room, and I got so many UFOs done after I got that design wall up. We all know that as we age, we don't like to lay out our blocks on the floor. For years, I did that. I also laid the blocks out on the bed, but that is not ideal either. That is kind of backbreaking, especially if you have a big bed. So the design wall, I went ahead and made that change, and it's a game changer. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Just go to your local shop that sells batting by the roll or by the package and just buy a small twin size or baby size piece of batting and use it as a design wall. It is a game changer. Now, as you can see, my stuff I've pinned up, and I find that on humid days, and let me tell you, it's been humid in Texas, the fabric does not want to stick to the design wall, at least this one. And I also found using felt, they would fall off. We are always using ceiling fans, and just maybe somebody shuts the door and it creates a poof of wind, it would knock them off the wall. So I do pin them if I know it's going to be up here for a long period of time. Design walls are a game changer. I highly recommend, if you don't have one, go to your stash, get out a very small piece of flannel and just put it somewhere next to your sewing machine and just use that if you're just laying out a block. You could also use the Lori Holt style design boards. That is a game changer as well. Okay, here I have one of the little boards, and if you look, I have placed some scrap fabrics on this, and they don't, well, I say they don't fall off. That one fell off. These also are great for doing blocks, to where you can cut out your block, put your pieces on it, then these stack. And let me show you that. So here I've got some more stuff for the quilt along. I have just kind of stacked these up, getting ready to publish these into videos. You could also use paper plates, although your paper plate is not going to be a device that when you turn it like upright, like an easel, your paper plate, the stuff's going to fall down. But paper plates worked very well if you're going to be doing a bunch of blocks that are all different for a sampler quilt. You can cut them all out on a weekend and then have an easy sew on a weeknight. They are kind of a design wall, if you will. So, let's see what we got here. Here's an upcoming block that I'll be doing a blog post on, and this is called Rosebud. And again, that's for my quilt along. I will put a link below in the quilt along in case any of you are interested in any of the blocks that I make. Some are more advanced blocks, some are easy blocks, and some of them I may go back because I'm so smitten with them and make a whole quilt out of it. So another design wall, and these are made out of like a poster board material or a foam core material from the dollar store, with a piece of batting hot glued to it, and then I took fabric and trimmed out the edge. Is this necessary? No, this just adds a pretty edge. You don't have to make it pretty. It just is perfectly utilitarian without that extra fabric around the edge. That is another thing, and I will try to find that blog post I had and put a picture in here so you can see what I'm talking about. That worked really, really well. You don't necessarily have to have a whole wall's worth for quilting. You can just have a 2-foot piece and it works great. So these are your options. There are other options. If you just put your mind to it, you can think up something that maybe somebody else has not thought up of. Now I can take this down, I can wash it, and it'll wash just fine, whereas my felt one would not wash up correctly, and therefore I couldn't wash it. I just threw it in the trash. I hate that. I waited till it went on sale and bought it, and I used it for a year and then realized how dingy it was getting and realized I couldn't continue to use it. So I improvised. I now have had this up, I believe, about 2 years. It has worked very well. Flannel usually you can get on sale at Joann's right before Christmas time and buy it by the bolt, and it's not expensive. And then you can tailor it to fit whatever area you have, and it works great. I just have this push pinned up. You could probably cover insulation from like Home Depot and make like a accordion fold thing where you can fold it up and put it out of the way. And I'm thinking like in the olden days, people used to get dressed behind the dressing screens. You could make something similar to that and use it as a design wall, and then make it to where it folds up. Lots of people leave them out. I guess because people like to pin things, they use that insulation and it works well. I will say this, using the pins on this wall with the sheetrock behind it, if you go to pin it in and you accidentally hit the wall, your pins do get a barb or they do get dull. So that is the downside to what I have and what I'm using. Would love to hear what you have thought up and what works for you. Please leave a comment below and tell me all about it. And thanks for watching.